Hi, welcome to the small shed. Today I want to have a look at how I can scale the Cyclekart down from the prototype to the size that I need, how well it will scale down and what sort of size it will need, or what percentage it will need to come down by. See you in a minute. Right, so I've chosen my prototype for the Cyclekart. First thing really is to see whether or not it will scale down properly down to the size that I need it to be. There are some sort of rough guidelines in the cycle karting world for wheelbase and track width, overall length, things like that, that we will see if we can make it fit to that, or whether it will naturally fit to that by just a straight scale down. To do that I'm going to need some drawings, which I've got, and need to mess around with them a little bit, measure them up, see how it will work. The drawings I've got are very sketchy on actual dimensions. They're done in imperial and they've got a wheelbase and a track, and that's about all really, and a diameter of the wheels. But I think we can work from that, as long as I know what the wheelbase I need is. I can work to see how that will work out on scaling it. So we'll go and have a look and see if we can get that done. Right, so I've got now a 200 odd piece jigsaw that I've got to put together. I've got a couple of drawings of the car, and I've found a program on the internet which will put it up to poster size of any size you want, and I put the picture into that, and it came up with something like the right size. I had a quick sort of check on it where I thought it was to get the wheelbase about right, and it was a little bit out, so I just tweaked the size of the image on the tablet, and then again multiplied it by 12 or 13 or whatever it was it needed, and it's come out with a whole series now of images which I put together. They've all got a little number in the bottom right hand corner. So what will need to happen effectively is that I've got to actually stick all these together. Just going to sellotape them together, but of course to get the overlap I've then got to cut at least one of the sections off one edge. It'll be one off one side and one off the top or bottom, I don't know which yet, probably the top because there are no numbers on the top. Then I'll just get that and that, put them together in the right place. Some sort of a weight on them perhaps, just to stop it moving while I'm sellotaping it. Piece of sellotape across, cut, and onto the next. And then hopefully that will build up the whole thing to a size which is full size for a Cyclekart. It'll be about 80% smaller, I think, than the real thing when I've finished. But if I've got my sums right, this will come out at about a 1650, 1620 wheelbase. The right hand side wheel there, top of, I think. And I think we're coming into the side of the body. Just move that a fraction. that looks like I've got a job for the rest of the afternoon. I'll come back to it when we've got something that looks a little bit more complete. And so for the first time I can get a handle on how accurate the scaling up has been. I haven't really had a chance yet so far. This is the first time I've got it laid out properly. I was aiming to get a wheelbase of 1660. That was my intention. It is currently, if I sit that on the front wheel axle centre, 1661. So it's 16610. Yeah. So we're pretty much right for probably 10 mil too long, but I'm not going to argue about that. The height is going to be about 910 mil, 3 foot, something like that. So that's the side profile. Let's have a look and get the front rear profiles and the actual plan stuck together. Right, that's got the plan section all taped up. Again, check the wheelbase. That is showing as 1610, so that's in proportion with the side elevation. Just want to check the track now. The recommendations I think are 960 mil. Now this is slightly wider, I think. Track on this is actually 1060. So in theory it's about 100 mil too wide. But I'm not going to worry too much about that because these tyres are considerably wider than the Cyclekart ones, as are the wheels. We're looking at inch and a half rims, which are about 35 mil rims. So they're only going to be to about that width which will give me the 960 or so that I want. I could always play with width on the track anyway, but it is actually pretty much there apart from the tyres being narrower. So all in all, I'm quite happy with that. All I need to establish now is whether that part, which looks awful small compared to the rest of the cart, is going to fit my big fat behind and gut, and that is the crucial bit. So what I'll do is to put, now I've got the sizes and the dimensions, I can make a couple of rails up in timber on some plywood, put a couple of sides up that correspond to the side profile and the backrest roughly in the right position, probably mock something up at the right height for the steering column, and just see whether or not it's possible to get in and out of this thing, or whether or not at this point we've got to start and just play with things a little bit. It's not too difficult. All I need to do really is to carry on the slope of the bonnet a little bit further back, and it'll naturally widen the car slightly. So it's not something that I think will be that difficult to see. Right, let's look at front and back elevations now. Right, just got the last piece to stick on, just a little bit on the top of the rear cowl end. Oh. That is the end of the roll. Spooky. So there we are with just enough sellotape on a roll. Now you know, one roll of sellotape equals enough to do a 200 odd piece jigsaw. Take some of the corners off that, stop it flopping around. So I now have a rear view that I can use for cutting, measuring and cutting templates. Beauty of the car is, as you can see from this, that the sides are pretty much straight all the way up. So the only bit I've got to worry about for curved bits are the rear tail and the cowl in front of the steering wheel. So we've got the back, got the front elevation. That, as I say, has got the starting and finishing dimensions for the cowl, which is 2 or 3 different radii of compound curves. But we've got that. We've got the chassis view, and we've got the side on view. So that is enough to make a start in fabricating stuff. Right, well that's worked out better than I'd hoped, I think. What I've got now essentially is almost an exact 80% replica, which is more than I probably could have hoped for, and that suits me as a model maker rather than a cycle cart builder, because I don't like to have something that's not right, if you see what I mean, scale wise. I didn't particularly want to build a caricature if I could help it. I wanted to build a scale replica, and that may be again one of these things where I'm bumping up against the ethos of the cycle cart, if you like. But it's one of those things that's going to happen. I want this to be as close to an 80% scale, sorry, 80% scale down version of the real one as I can, and it seems to be pretty much spot on for doing that. Although the wheel diameters are much bigger I mean, my Cyclekart wheel rims are bigger than the original ones on the Austin 7. But because of the tyre sizes, the overall outside diameter of the wheel is about right. So apart from that minor sort of hiccup and the width of the tyres, which aren't scaled down, they'll be narrower than the originals, even scaled down. I'm happy with that. The body is going to be pretty much there, I think. There's a slight issue then to check, and that is whether I can fit in it. I mentioned right at the outset, I think, when I did the introduction, that these things were almost like putting a shoe on to drive. And if I'm making it 80% the size of the original, it could well be that I'm going to run into trouble with actually getting in and out of it. So that's perhaps the next thing to have a think about. Having got drawings sorted and the size about right, we can then have a look and see whether or not it's practicable, and then move on from there with an actual build. So I hope it was of interest. Look forward to seeing you next time. We'll hopefully be moving on to making some sort of a temporary body up. Not the full body, but just the tub where I would sit normally, just to see if it all works. Hope to see you then. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you next time. Bye!